All right, I see that just started here. And as a reminder to all those joining, the past meetings, they are available on our website. You can review and view those. The transcriptions are also available if we need them. But welcome everyone this morning. It's the Conservation Advisory Group for Cascade Natural Gas. As we all know, this is the first meeting of 2024. We've got a bit of a shorter agenda today. We're going to get it started with kind of our typical safety moment. This time I'd like to just share the reminder about stretching mobility safety. The biggest piece of this being warm up appropriately per your activity. For some of us, activity could include working out in the field or getting hands-on with certain things, making sure you're warmed up appropriately. For others who spend a little more time at the desk, it could include just stretching your wrists and your fingers, stretching your neck, getting up to walk around, and making sure your mobility stays intact throughout your career, throughout your life. On the screen, you'll see two different types of stretching for a reminder for us all. First one being dynamic stretching, which is often recommended before activity. You can think about more mobile items like arm circles or butt kicks or leg swings, some of those typical things you'll see before like a sporting event, for example. Static stretching might be a little more relevant to some of us. Things like yoga, for example, is often a static stretch or like a calf stretch or stretching your fingers and your wrist. All really good ideas for us all to make sure we're remaining safe, remaining healthy. The call at the bottom is stretching shouldn't be painful. Just a good reminder, it should feel good in some sense, and it should be beneficial to you overall in the future. Des, I'll ask for your assistance here if you don't mind with roll call and kicking off a couple of the Q4 2023 action items.
You got it. Okay, well, hello everybody, and welcome to our Q1 CAG meeting for 2024. I'm just going to go down the list of the way I see it on my screen. So first, I will start with myself, Cascade Natural Gas, Customer Support or Conservation Support Specialist. And I've been here for a couple of years now. I've been with the company 14, but with this department 2. Next will be Brian Farnsworth.
Good morning, Brian Farnsworth. I'm with TRC Companies on behalf of Cascade Natural Gas, and I have been with the program, I believe, 13 years through a couple different implementers back from Conservation Services Group, Lockheed Martin, and now TRC Companies, and I work in business development.
Thank you, Brian. Gil, hello. Gil, you're on mute.
Hi, this is Gil Peach. I do some studies sometimes for Cascade, and I'm happy to be on the call.
Happy to have you. Ty Jennings.
Yeah, my name is Ty Jennings. I am the building code specialist for Cascade, supporting our efforts to identify pathways through the energy code.
Thank you, Ty. Sheila.
Good morning. My name is Sheila McElhinney. I'm Senior Analyst for the Cascade Natural Gas Energy Efficiency Programs.
Thank you, Sheila. Michael.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Mike Parvinen. I'm with Cascade's regulatory team. Been with Cascade 12 years now, and prior to that, with the Washington Commission for about 25 years.
Thank you, Michael. Peter.
Hi, good morning. This is Peter Crystalite. I manage the natural gas efficiency portfolio at NEA.
Thank you, Peter. David.
Hi, my name is David Pettit. I'm a conservation analyst with Cascade. I just started late last year in the energy efficiency department.
Thank you, David, and welcome. Stephanie.
Hi, good morning. Stephanie Reed, Energy Efficiency West Program Delivery Specialist.
Thank you, Stephanie. Liz.
Good morning, Liz Reichart. I'm with the Department of Commerce State Energy Office, where I lead our state's building and energy efficiency work. Great to be back with the group today.
Thank you, Liz. Caleb.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. For those I have not yet met, my name is Caleb Reimer. I'm the program manager for Cascade's Natural Gas's Energy Efficiency Program. I'm really happy to be here today. And once again, I want to be thankful to everyone for their time on this call and for joining this meeting. As we all know, this is a really important aspect of our program. Having the advisory group assist us, both backwards looking and forwards looking. I can't thank you enough. So I'm really happy to have a robust conversation this morning.
Thank you, Caleb. Byron.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Byron Harmon. I'm a regulatory analyst with the Washington Utility and Transportation Commission. And I want to apologize for my tardiness. I showed up a few minutes late here.
No apology necessary. Thank you. Noemi?
Thank you, Des. Good morning, everybody. Noemi Ortiz, Energy Efficiency Programs Manager with Cascade Natural Gas.
Thank you, Noemi. Brian Robertson?
Yeah, this is Brian Robertson, Manager of Supply Resource Planning with Cascade.
Thank you, Brian. Lauren?
Hi, Lauren Savage-Wittig with the Department of Commerce, Weatherization, Utilities Program Manager. Nice to meet you all.
Welcome, Lauren. Thank you. Mark?
Good morning, Mark Stellers-Vaughn, Upstream Resources and Special Projects Manager for Cascade.
Thank you, Mark. Shaylee, I hope I said that right.
You did. Great job. Shaylee Stokes, I'm the director of the Energy Project, which helps to represent, support the CAP agencies that do weatherization and energy efficiency work in Cascade service area. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us, Shaylee. Sonia?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sonia Walden, the Manager of Customer Systems for Cascade.
Thank you, Sonia. Quinn?
Good morning, Quinn Weber, Regulatory Analyst with the Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission.
Thank you, Quinn, and welcome. I know this is your first meeting. Kathy?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kathy Wold, and I'm the Manager of Energy Efficiency Strategies for Cascade.
Thank you, Kathy. Corey?
Yeah, this is Corey Dahl from the Public Counsel Unit of the Washington Attorney General's Office.
Thank you, Corey. It looks like that is everybody I show at this time. So I'm going to go over our action items from our last meeting. We only had a couple, not too many. So first, I want to go over the invites. I sent the invites or emailed them to everybody for the quarterly meetings for 2024. So those were emailed on 10/19 and hopefully everyone received them. If you haven't, please let me know and I will definitely get those out to you. And then the other action item we had, Caleb was going to contact Seattle City Light regarding why they discontinued their behavioral energy program. Caleb, any update on that?
Yeah, certainly. So this action item came, I believe, from Corey, made the recommendation. We had a really robust conversation about our behavioral pilot with Energy X during our last Conservation Advisory Group meeting. He made the recommendation that we reach out to Seattle City Light to learn about their behavioral program, which they had ran in the past and was discontinued. And Corey, that was a fantastic suggestion. I ended up getting in touch with a gentleman named Lars at Seattle City Light who ran that behavioral program for them for close to a decade, is my understanding. He made some great observations, great recommendations for our team. In summary of their program, they ran it for a significant period of time for Seattle City Light. What they found was it was successful. They had some great success with it. And then they had some really unfortunate timing due to COVID, unfortunately. So they were revamping and rolling out from, if I recall, it was a monthly base home energy report to they were going to do more of a daily home energy report, being an electric set of utilities. They had that data perhaps available to them. However, their program implementer did not have it. So they were looking to shift towards a new program implementer. And then COVID unfortunately came and dislodged that entire plan for them. So he had positive mentions about behavioral programs overall, and he recommended that Cascade continue to pursue them. He did, however, recommend that you make sure that your implementer is both committed to it and able to continue the process ongoing for a couple of years, which we believe EnergyX, being our partner in that task, will be able to do so. He actually made a great metaphor that I'd like to share with the group, and it's hit really home to me. Hopefully it does for someone else. He likened behavioral reports and these projects to like going to the grocery store, but it's like with no prices on the shelves. So when you're using utilities, using energy, be it gas or electric, it's very difficult for the average user to understand how much that thing is using or how much that thing is costing them. He believes that this home energy report is a way to put the price on the shelf of your utilities and of your equipment measures. So I thought that was a really good way to hit that piece home, where you almost take it for granted, where you know how much things cost at the store, but not always how much your appliances or your home, insulation, those sorts of things use. So great conversation. Thank you for the recommendation, Corey. And if there's any similar recommendations for the group, feel free to send me an email or message my way. I'd love to meet with those people and learn more.
Thank you, Caleb. That was great information. That was all the action items we had from this point. Caleb, I'll hand it over to you. I believe Brian will be speaking next.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to shift over here. We've got our portfolio updates. Brian, I welcome you to hop on here as an overview for the group. We've got a relatively short agenda today, in my opinion. We'll have our portfolio updates, a couple of program updates, and then a handful of new projects and tasks. Depending on timing and conversations, we may or may not take an intermission during the middle of this. We'll just play it by ear if you all don't mind. With that, thanks, Brian. I see you got your camera on. Please introduce yourself to the group and take it away and share your team success.
All right, absolutely. Again, my name is Brian Farnsworth. I'm with TRC Companies on behalf of Cascade Natural Gas. We are the implementer for the commercial industrial program. So what we're going to do is just start out with a little bit of an overview of Q4 2023. It is worth noting that in terms of the year, we do allow 90 days for customers to submit applications. So what you're seeing here, theoretically, if a customer installed something mid-December, they do have through March to submit their application. So something to consider. But here are our totals, and you can see on the left side our comparison to 2022. So through Q4, we were sitting at 69% to goal last year, and then I guess 2 years ago now, 2022, and then 2023, we were at 80%. So you can see we paid almost $900,000 in 2022 in incentives, and then $1,812,000 in 2023. And then you can see the goals there, and then our progress to goal 289,919 versus 429,519 this year. So improvement. We did sort of have some consecutive challenges, the rebound from COVID, and then the introduction of the new energy codes. So delayed implementation, but there was still an effect to our program. So let's see, and then you can just see our progress to goal on the bottom there. But yes, I am ready for the next slide. So thank you. So looking at our therms by measure type for 2023, just wanted to identify a couple of the standouts, which are insulation and boilers. We typically do see that. That is nothing new. But the custom heat recovery, I believe those are all due to Walmart. We will see continuation of working with Walmart in 2024 also. So those are some nice custom additions to 2023. Next slide, please. Okay, and here is our biennium progress. You can see that our goal was 957,319, and it looks like we've achieved 719,438 therms. I don't see the percentage there, but you can see our remaining to goal, and looks like that's about where we ended up. Next slide, please. Okay, so as in addition to the Q4 2023 update, we also wanted to do a bit of a 2024 outlook. Our program does from year to year, we have what we call sort of unicorn projects, which are these very visible, large projects, large incentives, large therm saving projects. And luckily, we do have one of those projects for 2024. So that's the biggest one I wanted to talk about is Naval Air Station Whidbey Island. So they are going to be looking at a heating plant decentralization custom project. And this project alone is estimated at 700,000 therms plus saved annually, and then looking at an incentive over $3 million. So that is sort of our standout project for this year. That customer contacted us, so that's always a nice phone call to receive. Outside of that, we also have a Bellingham Waterfront District Energy Plant with Corix Utility Systems. We do have some projects with Safeway, Skagit County. I had mentioned Walmart, so our forecast is looking good for 2024. So outside of the Naval Air Station Whidbey Island, we're looking at another 85,000 therms, 100,000 plus incentive. But when you combine the Naval Air Station Whidbey Island project, so if that project goes through, that would be meeting our annual goal with one project alone. So worth noting for this year. I think that might be it for me, unless anyone has any questions.
Great. Hey, thank you very much, Brian, for hopping on the call here. And of course, Brian can be reached with his email contact. You can also reach out to myself, and I'll put anyone in contact with that program if you have any questions in the future. But thanks so much. We're looking forward to having this 2024 pipeline come to fruition.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Next up, we've got our residential program highlights for the year 2023. This is something I've emphasized, I believe, for each of the CAG meetings I've been leading here, but I truly believe that the team is our #1 resource. And I also just want to call out some of our highlights from last year, which the team accomplished. It was a fantastic year for this program. We innovated quite a few processes so we could streamline our rebate processing while still having those necessary fail-safes and review periods. We also, this is a huge piece of it, was grew and fostered the point of sale program. I believe Stephanie's on the call today. She is our liaison and the leader of that program. And it's just been a fantastic and robust savings opportunity for our program. We've also revamped our marketing and our outreach process, who we're reaching out to and getting more of a data-driven approach, which I just think will be absolutely crucial for us going forward, looking at some more of the digital and the online realms, in addition to the in-person call it radio, TV ads, all the different things that we've been doing in order to spread the message of the benefits of energy efficiency and the opportunities available to Cascade Natural Gas customers. We also want to call out the importance of that team being fully staffed. We were a little bit lightheaded during the middle part of last year. However, at this point, we are very close to being at full staff right now. Our program specialists, our delivery specialists, I should say, are fully staffed at this point, and we just have one vacant position on the team that'll be going up most likely in a few weeks here to be filled in February. That'll be for an economic analyst. They're going to be doing some of the long-term forecasting for our team, working on the conservation potential assessment, some of our biennial reports and plans, working on the EM&V, and a lot of other things that are really important to the future success and the outlook of the program. So if anyone on this call has a recommendation or someone that we should be reaching out to for that role, it'll be posted here likely in about a week. Highly recommend reaching out to myself so we can get in contact with that individual. Thanks in advance for that. On the next slide here, we've got a progress to goal. This looks fairly similar to Brian's slide. I also want to call out the line on the top there. These are unofficial results for 2023, subject to reconciliation that we'll be doing with our annual report, which is actually a later topic here. But the moral of the story is it was a fantastic year for the residential program. I'll let those that choose to read through this table here. In green, you can see the 2023 therms and incentives. In light blue is comparison to the year prior. We ended 2023 with approximately 119% of our goal achieved. That's fantastic. And we gave out just slightly more than that in terms of achievement percentage in our incentive dollars. Both of those numbers, both therm saved and incentives, those are a record for the program. It's about 39% more therm saved than their previous annual record, which is 2021, and about 82% more therm saved than the year prior, which is 2022. As a reminder, we were a little bit shorthanded, especially on our program delivery team throughout the year. So that is just fantastic. I'm really thankful to have these results for us here. And great thanks to Carrie Buren, who leads that team, and all the program delivery individuals who actually do the day-to-day operations for us here. Comparison of 2022 to 2023 in terms of measures processed, approximately 5,200 measures processed last year, and 180% of that this year, 9,400 measures processed. Keep in mind, a measure is an individual item like an attic insulation or a boiler or a smart thermostat. Projects could have multiple measures associated. Very typical to have both a new furnace and a new smart thermostat, which would be 2 measures per project. And our project numbers also increase significantly from year to year. In terms of the 2-year goal being biennial, we achieved approximately 99.7% of that biennial residential therm goal, which is close to a rounding error or just a couple of projects being pushed through from a different year to the next. So I think that's fantastic, and I'm super happy with how the program progressed here. Are there any questions on this slide? Great, moving on. This chart shows our residential biennium progress. Same information I just shared, where our goal was 936,988 therms. Our count is just over 930,000 at this time. Of note, a significant portion of that was due to insulation measures, smart thermostats, furnaces, and prescriptive air sealing. It was approximately over 60% of those therm savings come from those measures. And same thing with the incentive dollar amounts. It's a pretty close comparison between therm save and the dollar amounts that are going out for each of these measures. Those are the major pieces of our program in the past year, and we expect those to be the major pieces of our program going forward, thanks to our outreach opportunities, our point of sale offering, our robust trade ally network with over 100 individuals in the state of Washington participating. We're hoping to keep growing those numbers. That concludes the biennial residential program update. There's no other questions. I'll hang on here for just a second. And then I'll move on to the next of our called side topics here, which is an update to our biennial conservation plan. Okay. This likely doesn't look new to anyone on this advisory group here. We've been working on this conservation advisory, biennial conservation plan for almost 9 months at this point now. We've been sharing the last couple of meetings here. This is close to the wrap-up piece of it, I would say, or at least hopefully I should say. You'll see that we filed on November 15th the conservation plan for the next 2 years under docket UG 230937. Everyone on this call should have received an email with those documents, but you could also look them up on the WTC docket search on their website. Really big piece of the pie here is this recessed open meeting that's coming up actually later this afternoon. This is a recessed open meeting. Once again, a link is made public if anyone would choose to join on there. You can do the same thing by searching under the docket number and seeing the link there. The big timeline, or the next big piece for us, is a planned program transition date on March 15th of this year. That does currently coincide with the Washington State Energy Code update or implementation date. However, we plan on doing this date regardless if things were to change on that end. What this means is the program transition on March 15th, so installs on or after March 15th will be under the updated rebate dollar amounts, savings assumptions, those sorts of things. So this is an important note. We will still be receiving applications, say in April, that are from 60 days past or 30 days past, kind of like what Brian already mentioned with his program, which will be under our current, or what you could also call the past rebate incentive schedule. However, this transition will be happening in just a couple of months here. The team is already on it with updating our software, getting program updates out, creating new sheets, applications, terms and conditions, all the things that go into actually having this program run and operate. Some of the highlights from that plan for those that were not a part of it. The goal, this is always the goal for us, is to maximize therm savings subject to cost effectiveness. Our time this year was to significantly increase our residential rebate amounts. And those rebate amounts went up quite a bit. There was both a piece of having avoided costs being increased, but also just wanting to increase those rebate dollar amounts in order to maximize the projected therm savings for our program. One of the biggest pieces are insulation values for, say, our attic or wall insulation, as well as floor insulation, are going from $1.25 up to $2 per square foot. Those numbers have not changed in a few years, and with different code changes going on, it's still extremely cost effective to increase those dollar amounts, and it could become very nearly a low cost or no cost upgrade for many of the homes in the state of Washington. The last bullet point there call out that the forecasted UCT values, that's the cost test that we are currently operating under, they remain strong at both the measure and portfolio level. Approximately 3.0 in the portfolio level would be a good mindset for us. Once again, anything above 1.0 would be a cost-effective measure. There's opportunities to get that closer to a 1.0, for example. However, there are different barriers such as projects exceeding having the rebate dollar amount actually exceeding the cost of the project, like an attic insulation. So there's different things to make sure that we're going to be tracking both manually and through our upgraded rebate software, which will be coming up here on a later slide. But all great things for the program here. And with an open meeting here later this afternoon, we're open to hear that it's approved so we can keep moving on with it. If there's any questions here, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll move on to the timeline for the next report that we have. Great. This is a binary report timeline. Once again, this happens to us, really it's every year for an annual report. This will be a biannual report for the first time in the program. This is a result of our conservation plan, the past conservation plan conditions document under section 5C, if anyone chooses to read and review which sort of stipulations and requirements that we'll have with this report. But in summary, you can see the timeline being broken down into 2 quarters. In quarter 1, these are things that are already getting started. It's reconciling our rebate and admin accounts, just like normal, requesting data reports for viewing and cleaning those items, and then also getting some of the work papers drafted. We create work papers to summarize really minute program activity on the residential side, commercial side, the low income program, and also just doing a portfolio level summary of cost effectiveness, direct benefit to consumers, some of those really high level KPIs that we are tracking on a continual basis. Those will be in that report, and we want to get them completed as soon as possible so we know what we're working with. In quarter 2, this will be likely the first part of quarter 2, we'll have the main body of the report being drafted and going through a couple of draft phases. The first draft being the information on paper. Then we're going to have the revised draft with these work papers and associated information. These will be delivered to our advisory group, those in this call, by email by May 15th of 2024. That will be beginning that 30-day review period before we plan to finalize and deliver to the WTC by the 15th of June. Look forward to being able to send that report to everyone on the call here in right around 4 months or so. Appreciate any time that you may have in reviewing that, even simple things like typos or errors, but all the way up to big calculation questions, understanding assumptions. These are all things that, if they're questions that you have, they're likely questions that others have. So we want to make sure that they're able to be clarified during the review period, so we create and submit the best docket that we can for the actual filing. If there's any questions here, I'm going to move on to our low-income weatherization period. And I believe Sheila or Noemi might be able to jump on here and summarize some of the updates in this low-income program.
Yes, Caleb, I'm here ready to provide the update.
Yeah, thanks, Sheila. Go ahead.
Well, how about the next slide? Yeah, very good. Yeah, so I'm not going to read this to you because you all know how to read, but we had a fantastic year in low-income weatherization. We completed 131 projects, and the average number of therms per project is 150. So that's an increase from previous years. And we're at about 2.5 measures per project. So there was a large array of pricing and costs, anywhere from $169 to the highest project was 8 measures at 46,000, almost 47. Any questions about this slide? All right, we can go to the next one.
Move on. And if I recall, Sheila, that the 131 projects completed is a new record for the program, and it's something like 2 to 3 times our historical average over the past few years. Does that sound correct to you, Sheila?
Yes, it is. We usually 60, 70 would be a common average. So this was it was a boon.
Yeah, fantastic. I would say this is a result, of course, of Sheila's work and also Noemi's work. She joined the team right around 1.5 years or so ago to be the low-income project manager for Cascade. So being able to dedicate the time and the resources to growing the projects completed and reaching out to this low-income community for an equity basis, a huge piece of the program for us here. It looks like I have a hand up, but I can't quite see who it is.
So Byron from
Byron.
UTC. Yeah, I think it's maybe a month or two ago, there's that tariff revision increasing the amount of money that CAP agencies could collect on their projects. Has there been any response on that so far, or is it still too early to tell?
The tariff was approved. So for 2024 calendar year, we are going to provide a 30% project coordination and a 10% indirect rate. So the agencies will receive 40% of the total installed cost as project coordination and indirect fee.
Yeah, I guess my question was, have you seen any like movement from the CAP agencies responding to that yet, or is it still kind of too early to tell?
Oh, yes, we have projects in the hopper.
Okay, great.
Yes, we
Awesome.
do. Yes,
Thank
there's
you.
been a positive response.
Great. Yeah, great question, Byron. And everyone else, feel free to jump in if you have any questions. And also thanks to Sheila for being the just being the liaison to these low-income individuals, to the CAP agencies. Really great to have a person with your skill set being able to do this. Moving on to the next slide here.
So here we just have participation, and we're kind of measuring it by what they said they were going to do and what actually happened. As you can see, Housing Authority of Skagit County and Northwest Community Action led the pack. The Northwest Community Action projects were the result of their collaboration with the Skagit or Sunnyside Housing Authority. So the agency worked with the Housing Authority to weatherize a whole bunch of existing, mostly multifamily homes. So that's a great benefit to that community. They're gonna, everybody that lives in those homes is gonna be a lot more comfortable, a lot better off, put a little money in their pocket. Yeah, so we expect the program participation to increase because the project coordination fee has been increased. And I guess I'll just point out, we've got about a $20,000, $19,000 average on the homes that were weatherized based on 2023 participation. I'm ready for the next slide. So we have a couple of updates from Commerce, and we have some Commerce staff on the call. And we learned that there is a new workforce development manager, Ari Hansen. That person is going to focus on creating strategies and programming to address the workforce development challenges across the state. This includes recruiting, retaining, and training contractors, and working to meet local agency workforce needs to be able to increase production. So the bottom line is there's lots of work out there. There aren't that many trained installers. And when we train people properly to do the weatherization, it creates jobs, and we can increase production. Commerce will be relaunching the multifamily RFP in the coming months to drive more urban and rural multifamily weatherization projects across the state. This RFP will aim to build the skill and capacity to do more multifamily projects in the future. And that that reflects the changing needs of our Washington communities. So we're excited about that. The Northwest Community Action Center project was multifamily, so it's really wonderful because you're kind of working in a centralized area. Everyone's mobilized, and you can get the work done more efficiently because you're in a multifamily complex. Commerce is also moving forward with ECOS implementation. working to resolve the current round of bugs and then test the production before updating with a new release. The goal is to work with 2 or 3 agencies over the coming months to get them trained, functioning, and evaluated. Once successful, the program will expand the requirement to use ECOS to the rest of the network. And so any questions about the Commerce slide or any comments from Commerce? All right. Well, barring any questions, I will hand the microphone over to Noemi.
Thank you, Sheila. That was great. That was a great update. So I will cover the equity portion and just a quick update on what we've been doing on our equity advisory group. So we put it together this last September with our first meeting being towards the end. The group currently represents named communities. So we have highly impacted communities, marginalized population, and low-income representation right now. BIPOC communities represented. Some of the individuals sitting on there, we have the Yakima Nation tribes represented. We have some community action agencies that are representing as well, some public health advocates, and then the education. Some of the education services districts are also on there, just to kind of give you an idea who represents on that committee. We have the meeting schedule. We meet once a month at the beginning of the month. We've identified, along with the group, one great action item so far has been the website itself. There was a call out for the translation of the website. It was in the past being translated. However, it wasn't user friendly. It wasn't up to the standard we wanted it to be for Spanish speaking individuals, or therefore for other non-speaking, non-English speaking individuals. So we did get together with our customer experience team after identifying that need. Sometime in October, it was actually October 20th. We met with G-Translate and identified what service we were currently using and reviewed packages to see what was going to be the best solution, or what was going to meet the need of the customer. And after reviewing multiple packages, we were able to bring that back and select one that worked for us, and that went live on December 5th. We let the individual, also the members were able to, 3 of them were also able to review the website. I also reviewed the website since I am fluent in Spanish, and it does meet the needs, in my opinion, and also in the opinion of the members. For Spanish speaking individuals, we also have for other languages, not only does it have the ability to translate, it also gives you the option to translate to that language it writes it out in it spells it out in their language, not just English, when you do the selection options. So it has it in dual selections there. So that was an action item that came out of the equity advisory group. So that's just a little update there. It was a great action item, and it was a quick turnaround as well. So it was a collaboration effort between the members, the customer experience team, and Cascade all around. So it was a great turnout for us. A second item there with the equity advisory group is the share out with our bill assistance program. There was a couple things there that were identified through sharing out the outreach efforts that were going on with the CARES program in Washington. That was identified by some of our members that there wasn't a clear understanding of the income guidelines for our customers, for our low-income customers on the website. And that was just a typo on our side. since we were providing that in Oregon, which was providing the table for the income guideline and the cutoffs. It was something that we forgot to add in Washington. Aside from that, we went further into that and provided step-by-step instructions on how to do the calculation, since that was something that was shared by one of our members, that it was hard to identify for customers or even themselves how to understand what FPL meant or AMI or state medium income, what all those acronyms meant. So we did provide additional clarification on our website and the how to read your bill for members and customers to be able to, so that it's a little bit more user friendly. So those are that's just a quick update on the things that we've been working on, the Equity Advisory Group. And I believe that's all I have. If there aren't any questions, I can turn it back to Caleb.
All right, fantastic. Well, we'll keep moving on here. And of course, individuals in this call are welcome to reach out to Noemi or Sheila or myself with any questions, suggestions, anything related to making those programs better and better and improving the equity for our company. That is an absolute goal of ours. We have our ERA software migration is the next topic here. Just one or two slides to showcase for this. What this is ERA, or Enterprise Rebate Application Software. We are currently using what's called DSMC software by Resource Innovations to process our rebates. It's no surprise that the software that we use to process our rebates is extremely important, and any sort of time savings, efficiencies, any sort of things that improve how our teams interact with that software as a tool so we can actually run and implement our program, it's worth the investment in time for us here. So our plan is to shift over towards the ERA, which is an internally developed software or app, you call it, by our enterprise rebate, or I should say our enterprise information tech team, which I believe we have Sonia on the call here today representing those individuals. Our goal is to transition over to that software by the year end of 2024, perhaps a touch earlier if we can. The software is actually currently being used by Intermountain Gas for almost a year now, since April of 2023. They worked with the IT team to develop that software, refine it, continue improving it. We anticipate that there's going to be some sort of challenges and some time and improvements that are going to have to happen to add our team to that software. But we've already started that process. We've got some great people that are dedicated to it. I'm really excited for that, honestly. Some of the outlooks for using this software, there's some improved processing efficiency, making software updates internally that are going to be quicker rather than a couple of month type of timelines. They'd be done, perhaps in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. We're also looking forward to improved data tracking. ThoughtSpot is the software that is used internally by Intermountain Gas to grab data about rebates, terms, dollars, timeline, where things are at in the process in the queue. It's a pretty robust software, relatively similar to Microsoft's Power BI, if I were to describe it to someone, or like Tableau even, if you're familiar. I'm really looking forward to being able to use that software with our analysts on the team. We're also looking forward to some improved operational costs, just in terms of dollars for using DSMC, but also in terms of labor and hours in order to get those items physically into the software for us to process. The next slide here just got a couple of visualizations, which a team member at Intermountain Gas shared with us. I'm sure our software looks slightly different, but most likely pretty similar to this. A couple of visualizations you can see in the top left, how the applicant field can be populated either internally or externally by the individual, or perhaps the point of sale of the trade ally. That's a piece that we're still looking to refine and figure out. You can see on the top right how you have a high-level dashboard where your rebates are at in terms of missing information, being accepted, rejected, printing reviews, where applications are at. A lot of really high-level information you can see immediately where we don't currently have that ability. And there's also ways to search the database, which automatically connects to our customer care and billing database as well. We're looking forward to this. We are anticipating there to be some hiccups, some hangups, but we're really confident with the team that we have at hand at our disposal. We think it's going to go very well. If there's any recommendations, comments, or questions about this transition, feel free to reach out or ask any questions. And otherwise, we can move on to the next topic. Great. This is actually the last topic, I believe, that we want to bring up. It's the Commercial Industrial Program RFP, or Request for Proposal. Really, this is just a summary of some of the write-ups that we had in our biennial conservation plan, so it may or may not look new to those individuals in the group. Cascade's team has been, we've been in business doing the energy efficiency operation for over 15 years. And TRC, previously titled Lockheed Martin, they've been our partner throughout that process. They've been dedicated for over 15 years since the inception, and they've met or exceeded the goals in 6 of these years, which does not include, by the way, those unicorn projects, the extremely large ones that vastly exceed the savings goals that Brian mentioned earlier in this call. As a reminder from the conservation plan, we intend to do an RFP for this service as a best practice in the summer of 2024. We highly encourage and recommend any sort of recommendations for distribution from this group, any vendors, third-party providers, any individuals that we should reach out and just ask questions about producing the RFP or themselves submitting a intent to respond or intent to participate in the RFP. We were looking forward to this process. Once again, we anticipate this will be quite a bit of time and resources dedicated to us. We welcome TRC to submit an RFP for the service. We recommend other third-party implementers. And we also are considering doing an internal solution to see if that would be a best option. We're looking at holistically making sure this program runs very well for the foreseeable future, including some of those things that are currently in TRC's pipeline for 2024. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or send me an email in the future. I imagine that some individuals in this call might have a recommendation for us. We have not done, as you can see, a commercial industrial program RFP in many years for the implementation. So getting as robust of a distribution list as possible will be the #1 goal in a few months here. Okay, moving on to the last 2 slides here. Really just the last slide, I should say. We've got our upcoming 2024 meeting cadence. Dennis mentioned at the beginning of this, the action item was getting these dispersed. Hopefully everyone on this call does have the 2024 meetings dispersed. If you do not, please reach out to myself or Des to get an invite to those meetings. The next one we have is at the same time, same place, I guess you could say, April 17th, 2024, and then each 3 months after that. You can see that we had some interim deadlines, such as May 15th, to submit our biennial report. So we'll be sending those out via email, and we'll continue to communicate via email or scheduling an ad hoc meeting as needed throughout the year as different projects and reports develop. With that, that is the end of the slide. Welcome anyone to ask any questions about anything we discussed today or any different topics that we should consider for future advisory group meetings or conversations. Otherwise, I hope everyone enjoys the day, doesn't get distracted too much by the snowfall, and is able to have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for the time. Have a great day.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thanks.
Thank you.